This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. This hour, we're talking about hauntings, ghosts. Ooh, you know, those spirits that roam through the sky that so many people claim to have seen. My guest this hour is Sylvia Shults, and she's been a paranormal investigator for several years now. She began her career as a ghost hunter as a result of doing the research for her nonfiction books of ghosts of the Illinois River, I should say. Her fascination with ghosts dates back to her childhood, and she is an avid reader who was raised on Grimm's fairy tale. Let me see here. A few years ago, she was inspired to write a collection of people's supernatural experiences at the Peoria State Hospital in Bartonville, Illinois. The project quickly swelled into Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital. The book incorporates the history of the asylum, as well as many ghost stories that have arisen out of the asylum's abandonment. In an effort to separate fact from fiction, she thoroughly explores the true history of the hospital. Her website, www.sylviashults.com. And Sylvia, welcome to the X-Zone.
I'm delighted to be here, Rob. Thank you.
Tell me, what was it that inspired you to become a ghost hunter?
Oh, well, I have always loved true ghost stories ever since I was a little kid. I read every single book of true ghost stories the library had, everything I could get my hands on. And when I grew up, I realized, hey, you know what? I could go out and have these adventures for myself, and I can write about them, and other people can read them. And it's the best job in the world.
Tell me, have you ever seen a ghost?
I actually have. I used to answer no to that question, but I was at the Pollock Hospital, at the asylum, at the Peoria State Hospital, and I actually did end up seeing something. I was down in the basement of the Pollock Hospital, the morgue of the Pollock Hospital, and there was a group down there already, so the group I was with decided to go to a different part of the building to ghost hunt. And I've got this thing where I really don't like being the last person out of a dark room that I know is haunted. So I made sure there was somebody behind me as we went through the dark morgue and up the stairs and into the kitchen of the building. And the sensitive that was with us said, there's somebody behind us. And I thought to myself, well, duh, there's somebody behind me. I made sure there was somebody behind me. There is a big heavy metal door at the top of the stairs. And I stopped and I held the door for this woman that was behind me. I could see her perfectly well. Straight blonde hair. She was wearing a blue puffy ski jacket. I stopped and I held the door at the top of the stairs for her. And when I looked down the stairs behind me, she wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do we know she was a ghost?
Well, the sensitive that was with us said, well, yeah, she'll just come to the top of the stairs, and that's as far as she'll come. And I said, oh, so the person that I saw behind me wasn't actually there. And the sensitive said, yeah, that's right. She just likes to hang out in the basement.
Now, was this a sensitive that had knowledge of the asylum before? Had this sensitive done many ghost hunting jaunts
Oh,
there?
yes. She was a volunteer at the asylum for a couple of years, so she was very familiar with the spirits there.
Why do you think some people see ghosts and others don't?
Oh, man, I wish I knew. I wish I knew so that I could trick myself into seeing more things than I actually do. I just think it's a matter of sensitivity and being open and aware of that sort of thing.
So why do ghosts remain in a place? Why don't they just leave?
Well, there are a couple of reasons a ghost would hang around a place, and one is very, very bad and one is very, very good. There are ghosts that hang around places because they have unfinished business or because they suffered a tragic death, and that the terror and the pain keeps them there. And the other reason that a ghost would hang around is simply because they're comfortable where they are. And when you say haunted asylum, everyone automatically assumes that it was a place of pain and fear and abuse.
Right.
And I am intensely grateful that during the research for this book, I discovered that the Peoria State Hospital was not a place of fear and abuse. It
All
was
right,
a place
let's talk about the Peoria State Institute when we come back from this 2-minute commercial break.
Okay.
Exonation, my guest this hour is Sylvia Shults. Her website is www.sylviashults.com. That's SYLVIASHULTS.com. And Sylvia and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our family of broadcasters and satellite programming providers. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, a guiding light spelled LITE.com to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. Sylvia Shults is my special guest. She's the author of Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital. And her website is www.sylviashults.com. Sylvia, you and I were talking about the asylum, and you were saying that many people, as soon as you hear asylum, you think of tragedy, you think of crime, you think of horror. And yet, during your research, you found stories to the contrary.
Yes, I was absolutely delighted to find that. When you think of haunted asylums, your mind automatically goes to places like Penhurst or any number of horrible, horrible places. But the Peoria State Hospital was really a diamond in all of this muck that was around. It was a place of caring. It was a place of hope. Dr. Zeller, the superintendent of the hospital when it started out, made sure to take the bars off of the windows. He refused to have any of the cottages locked. He said, these people don't lock their doors at home. Why would we lock them in when they've come here for help? The asylum started in 1902, so very different time than our days today. He forbade the use of straitjackets and restraints and handcuffs and straight gowns. He put everything that was like that into a room next to his office. And the only reason he kept it was for his staff to point to and say, never again, not here, not at this institution.
Well, would you consider the Institute at the time of its inception and the time of this doctor who decided to have an open-door policy, were they catering to the high-risk mental cases that we know were back then in that time as well as they are in present-day time?
Well, the only locked wards were the violent wards for the men and the violent ward for the women. Other than that, the patients that came to the asylum were treated with kindness, no matter what their affliction. They were treated with human decency.
Wow.
And Dr. Zeller just believed that that was the way to treat people and the way to cure them. And they did have the highest rate of cure for a very, very long time. The asylum actually started out as the Illinois Asylum for the Incurable Insane. And that was in 1902. And by 1904, Dr. Zeller had gone to the state legislature and said, you need to change the name of this place. He said, you do not tell my patients they are incurable. I'm here to do just that.
Fascinating man. In your opinion, what is the first haunting that has been reported at the asylum?
The very first haunting, a very, very famous ghost story to come out of the asylum's history, is the story of Old Book. There was a patient that came to the asylum in 1906, and he had suffered a complete nervous breakdown at work. And he worked in a bookbindery. So all anybody knew about this guy was that he had worked in a bookbindery, and his breakdown was so complete that he was unable to tell the intake nurses his name. So they just wrote his name down in the ledger as a manual bookbinder. So he became known as Old Book. Well, one of Dr. Zeller's genius ideas was to give every patient at the asylum a job to do. Kept them occupied, give them something to do during the day. So Old Book's job was to dig graves in the cemetery and just cemetery upkeep and whatnot. So every funeral he attended, he would stand by the grave and he would start to cry. And he became uncontrollably sad, and he would eventually walk away from the grave and go to lean against the graveyard elm in the middle of the graveyard and just howl and carry on and just weep his heart out. He did this at every funeral he attended. So after a while, Old Book himself passed away. And his funeral was very well attended because he was very well liked at the asylum. And when they went to lower his coffin into the ground, they pulled up on the ropes to lower the coffin into the grave, and the coffin just bounced up into the air as though it were empty. And at that same moment, there was a wailing heard coming from the graveyard elm, and everyone turned to look, and there was the ghost of Old Book by the tree, standing, leaning up against the tree, just howling and sobbing and carrying on. And, oh, everyone just lost it. And Dr. Zeller himself was at the funeral, and he went over the coffin. He said, I want this coffin open right now. So they took crowbars and they levered up the coffin lid, and as soon as the lid was open, the wailing from the tree stopped, and Old Book was in his coffin, absolutely dead.
Wow. Why do you think that people like Old Book actually want those in attendance to know that there's something beyond? Do you think that was his main goal, was to say, hey, listen, my body may be dead, but I'm still alive?
I think that was absolutely his intent in coming back. I think that's why the ghosts at the Pollock Hospital and at the Bowen Building, I think that's why the ghosts remain there, so that they can communicate with us and tell us that there's something more.
Why are so many people interested in ghosts these days? Like ghost hunting, let's say 10, 12 years ago, was it was kind of a hobby. People would go to the historic sites, and there were a couple of ghost tours, a lot of them in Gettysburg, of course, and in other areas where there had been battles. But now ghost tours are popping up all over the place, and it seems that everyone wants to become a ghost hunter. Why?
Absolutely. It's not just for battlegrounds anymore. I think it's just an awakening in our society today, saying that, I mean, life nowadays is really technological and really great for some people, but for other people, it kind of blows.
Yeah.
And I just think that people want to reassure themselves that there is something afterwards, that this life isn't necessarily all there is. There is something more, and we do survive after that.
What are some of the qualifications a person should have if they want to become a ghost hunter?
An open mind, first and foremost. You need to be a skeptic, but you also need to be able to look at the evidence and say, all right, we may have something here. It helps to be aware of your surroundings. I was at the Pollock Hospital again about 2 months ago. I was just sitting in the women's ward reading a book, and I became aware of someone standing in the doorway next to me. All I heard was someone go, but I heard it distinctly, and I wouldn't have heard it if I wasn't paying attention.
Do you think that ghosts or spirits actually know that you are a very sensitive person and that you can actually see them?
Oh,
I'll take that for a yes.
That girl in the basement of the Pollock, I think that was a one-off, because that's the only spirit I've ever actually seen. I sometimes wish I could see more, but then again I say, oh my goodness, Sylvia, be careful what you wish for.
So how come you saw that one ghost?
I really don't know. I think there were so many people running around the building that day, most of whom I didn't know, and I thought I was so excited to be there. And I just think that the time was appropriate for me to look at somebody that I didn't know and think they were human and have them turn out to be not human.
Talk about scary.
It really wasn't, actually.
It wasn't. All right.
It took me back a couple of steps, but it wasn't frightening at all.
All right, so let me ask you this. If you've only seen one ghost, why do you keep going back and looking for more?
Oh, in case there are more. I tend to hear things. I've been to the Pollock Hospital at the asylum so many times that
Why?
I'm thinking, it's just a fascinating place. If you know the history of the place, if you know this legacy of caring that the Dr. Zeller and the nurses, the attendants, they all cared so deeply for their patients. And it's such a place of love and acceptance. That spirit is still there.
But if so many people go there. Wouldn't it make more sense to go to another place and look for other ghosts? Maybe there's something at the asylum that is stopping you or blocking you from seeing other apparitions.
That is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel that it may be a case of familiarity breeding
Contempt?
Well, not contempt, but it may be a case of me getting too familiar with the place.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a hold on people. It really does. If you go there a couple of times, you just keep getting drawn back to it.
Could it be it's because a place where other people who share your fondness for seeking out the paranormal congregate, that this is like, if you'll excuse the expression, a church for all you ghost hunters to go to try and prove you're right and that society is wrong?
Absolutely. I don't think it's proving society wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I just enjoy going there and hanging out really with the spirits. The volunteers,
right,
too, at the building are just a wonderful bunch of people, and I just enjoy hanging out with them as friends.
Sounds more like it sounds like a social gathering.
Almost. The Pollock tours
mm-hmm.
are very involved. They talk a lot about the history of the asylum, too, and there are costumed interpreters that outline pieces of the hospital's history, and people just really eat that up when they come for tours, and it's such an immersive experience for ghost hunters and for people that just come for the history tours. It's really a fabulous place.
Something that has always amazed me is that those who seek spirits in the paranormal call themselves ghost hunters, and yet when somebody hunts something, it's for a kill.
I know, that term really bothers me. I would much rather be known as a paranormal investigator. Ghost hunters just sound so crude, but it's a shorthand. It
mm-hmm.
really is for what we do. Paranormal investigator just takes so long to say.
All right, Stan.
But yes, the term ghost hunter kind of grates on my nerves a bit.
I think you guys should be called ghost seekers.
Ghost seekers, that's a good one.
All right, stand by, dear. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exo Nation, Sylvia Shults is our guest. www.sylviashults.com. That's SylviaShults.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this hour. Continuing on the other side of this news break, I should say. Continuing talking about her book, Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. And we'll be back on the other side of this news break and some fine words from our sponsors. Don't go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X-Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Explanation before we get back to our guest this hour, Sylvia Shults. I'd just like to remind everyone that everyone here at the X Zone and REL-MAR McConnell Media Company are trying our very best to help Sylvia Anthony, who is, God bless her, 84 years young. She's trying to raise enough money to open a second Sylvia's Haven. Now, Sylvia's Haven is a home that takes in ladies and their families because of the financial problems. They've lost their home, they've become homeless, or because they are victims of domestic abuse. Over the past 27 years, she has helped over 1,087 families. That's right, 1,087 families, and she is not funded. Sylvia's Haven is not funded by any government or organized relief system whatsoever. She is the sole provider by raising money throughout the community for Sylvia's Haven. Her wish is to have a Sylvia's Haven in each and every state in the United States. What we're trying to do is help her raise $300,000 so we can open up another Sylvia's Haven and get the ball rolling. It's very rare in today's society that you find someone who's giving so much and asking so little, especially since the money is not for her. The money is to build another Sylvia's Haven. If you're interested, go to www.sylviashaven.org. Read the story. Find out what this story is all about. You will be surprised. She has received letters of commendation from presidents, from the United Nations. And the ironic part is, nobody's funding her from any government organization or state, municipal, city, federal level whatsoever. Read it. Go to www.sylviasdream.org and make a donation, even if it's $5, even if it's $2. Every cent counts. That's www.sylviasdream.org. I want to thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for helping. Sylvia Shults is our guest this hour, www.sylviashults.com, and we're talking to Sylvia about her fascinating book entitled Fractured Spirits Haunting at the Peoria State Hospital. Now tell me, when you go on your ghost-seeking jaunts, what kind of equipment do you take?
Well, I really like taking along a small digital voice recorder.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch so many wonderful ghost voices if you're lucky. There is a really fascinating piece of equipment called a ghost box or a spirit box that all it is an AM radio set up to scan through the dial continuously to put out a bunch of white noise and static. And the idea is that the spirits use that white noise to form words to answer questions that you put to them. And the first time I heard about this, I said, oh, no, I'm not buying that. And then I got to actually use one and hear one in action, and having a conversation with someone that's not actually there is just the most fascinating thing. It's absolutely amazing. When you ask questions and you get answers that make sense. It just is mind-blowing.
Being a skeptic myself,
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask you, how do you know that somewhere in the proximity where that AM radio is a person with a small AM radio transceiver that can actually hear what you're saying and give you a response back?
Oh, well, I did say that you needed to be a skeptic for this.
Yeah. So how do you justify that you're talking to a dead person? How do you validate it?
Well, I guess there are some things that you just have to take on faith, and I look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm asking questions and I'm getting responses that I can call actual conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I take it at face value. I guess I'm trying to say I'm not trying to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I know for a fact you can go to any major department store, go into their electronic department, and they sell FM transmitters that
Right.
have a 50-yard, radius.
Right.
And it would be so easy to pull off a hoax of this magnitude. And, give a little bit of a thrill to somebody who really doesn't understand what's going on behind the scenes. And if that was me, I would want to have a question asked that can be authenticated on the part of the person who is answering me.
There you go.
So-
That's a good idea, to have questions that only they can answer.
Yeah.
You and my husband should really talk. I mean, that's the sort of thing he would do.
So how
We'd
did,
go out and
what
get one of
question
those
what
radios.
question did you ask him? Ask the spirit.
Oh, Well, there was one session we were using the ghost box in the basement of the Pollock Hospital again. We weren't in the morgue. We were
Right.
just in the storage room. And there were several of us standing around, and I was holding my voice recorder in my right hand, and my left hand was just sort of at my side.
Mhm.
My left hand started getting very warm. I was kind of tentative at first, but then after a while, it was almost as though I were holding my fingers to the gently glowing coals of a campfire. It was
Ouch.
that noticeable and that warm. And that the same sensitive happened to be with us. And I said, look, what's going on here? There's something going on. I don't know what it is. And she said, yeah, somebody's holding your hand. And she said, Sylvia, you have a fan. And the ghost box yelped, yes. And we asked the ghost box who it was that was holding my hand, and we got the name Christopher. And we just had a pleasant conversation with this Christopher fellow who was holding my hand for a while.
Did you ever get a last name?
No, unfortunately, we did not.
Why not?
Just didn't come through.
How can
Sometimes
you?
you don't get the answers to the questions you ask.
But if these spirits want to communicate with you, don't they want you to be able to validate their existence?
I have the feeling that sometimes it's not as important to them as it is
Okay.
to us. Because you have to remember, when most of these people passed away, ghost seeking was not a thing, really. I mean, you had the big craze, the big psychics and media's spiritualism craze in the late 19th century, but most of these people died well after that and well before the recent craze for ghost hunting that's going on now. So they're not really approaching it with the idea, oh, I have to
Okay.
give name, rank, and serial number to this person who's asking me questions. They're just, I imagine them just sort of hanging around, floating around, and saying, oh, hey, somebody's coming to talk to me. Isn't that nice? I'll tell them my name.
Why wouldn't they want to leave and go with the rest of their loved ones instead of remaining at a state asylum entertaining ghost seekers? That makes no sense to me.
Well, some of these people didn't have families that we can tell. I mean,
But to be
Perhaps
honest,
if
we
they went-
we can't even tell if these spirits, in brackets,
yeah,
in quotations mark, I should say,
right.
were actually at the asylum.
Well, this is true. We just, again, have to take it on faith that the people that were there are still hanging around because this is a place they felt safe.
You know, there's much research that has been done into group telepathy, where someone in a group wants to believe so much that they can actually telepathically communicate with others, making the entire group believe that they are actually in communication with a spirit when it's a human host that is actually doing the transmitting. So how do we know that this same theory is not being applied to the ghost box?
It is a possibility. I will grant you that. The thing is that so many different people have had so many different experiences there. One of my favorite stories is that one of the volunteers at the Pollock Hospital, a woman named Chris, was doing a cemetery tour. And fellow had his recorder going.
Right.
And he asked her, why do these spirits stay here? And Chris was about to say, basically what I say, these people were loved and cared for, and this is a place they felt safe. And even before she started talking, on the recorder, you hear a young child's voice say, they're just so nice here. I don't know if the child was talking about the nurses and doctors they had experience with in life, or the current crop of volunteers. I don't know, but somebody was awfully pleased to be hanging around.
If ghosts are the result of a traumatic accident or a tragic death, why do they hang around graveyards? Because that's not where they died.
Well, I've heard it said that there aren't very many ghosts to be found in graveyards for that exact same reason. Why would you want to hang around a place you didn't hang around in life?
That's right. So why do people go on these ghost tours in cemeteries?
Well, I think they've still got it in their heads that a cemetery is a place of death. And if you want to contact dead people, go where the dead people are. But you can't do that. You have to go to where the dead people like to hang out. You're going to have much better results there.
And that's in asylums, pubs, restaurants, hotels,
movie theaters,
train stations. But here's a question maybe you can help find a solution for. I've had many guests on over the years, and nobody's been able to give me an answer yet. So hopefully you might.
I'll give it a go.
Sure. How come we never hear reports of ghost hunters or ghost seekers coming across Neanderthal man, caveman, dinosaurs, if they too are the same essence of the ghosts that people are seeing now?
I have wondered about that for many, many years. I have done research on that for quite some time. And the best answer I can give you is that the essences fade after a while. I mean, you used to hear in the 18th century, you used to hear in England, you'd hear reports of people seeing Roman armies walking around that were occupying Roman Britain. And you just don't hear about that sort of thing anymore. So I think the imprint of whatever it was just fades after a while, and that's why you don't, unfortunately. I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful to go to the Lascaux caves or any of the other painted caves and do some EVP work there? And not that we could understand whatever language they grunted, but man, that would be so cool. But I just don't
maybe it's just like every other aspect of the paranormal or the study of parapsychology. People lose interest after a while. For example, 5 to 10 years ago, alien abductions were a big topic. You don't hear about it now. Cattle mutilation. You don't hear about it now. Teleportation through walls into massive UFOs. You don't hear about that anymore. The number of Bigfoot sightings are down, and the list goes on and on and on, which makes me wonder if the paranormal and the interest in the paranormal is just a passing phase that some people go through, and after a while, they just lose interest.
Oh man, I hope not. We'd have an awful lot of lonely ghosts if people stopped ghost seeking.
But maybe, how about this? How about that if the people stopped ghost seeking, that these ghosts would go towards the light and be where they're supposed to be instead of entrapped here on this planet, on this plane. And maybe it's the interest in the paranormal that is actually harnessing them to this plane.
That's a very valid point, actually.
So maybe the people who are showing such interest in these spirits, these apparitions, are the people who are keeping them here.
That could be, and it could be a purely selfish thing on our part. We want so badly to communicate that we just say, stay here and talk with us.
You and I have to take our final break. We'll
Sure.
be back on the other side of this. What is it, Craig? 4-minute break? Yeah. All right. Craig, my producer, Master Control, has been with me for, well, since 1992. My gosh, old friend. We're getting old together. My name is Rob McConnell. This is The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. And I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with our guest this hour, Sylvia Shults. Her website is www.sylviashults.com. That's www.sylviashults.com. 1-800-610-7035, worldwide toll free. And, of course, you can always listen to our archives with our compliments at www.xzoneradiotv.com. Don't go away. I'll be back in a few minutes. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. www.xzoneradiotv.com is our website. And not only on our website can you find out all about the X-Zone, everything that we do here. You've got many links. If you'd like to read the X Chronicles newspaper, we have a few, I think there's about 45 of them online at www.xchronicles-newspaper.com. And our YouTube channel is it's youtube.com/X-Zone Radio TV. Sylvia Shults is our special guest. Her website is www.sylviashults.com, and she is the author of Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital. First of all, Sylvia, thanks very much for joining us. Great pleasure having you with us. But tell me, how do you deal with skepticism?
Well, I remember that everyone has their own opinion and everyone has their own way of looking at the world. And if you're a skeptic and don't choose to believe anything I write, that's perfectly fine. Just look at it as pure entertainment. That won't hurt my feelings a bit.
What are the top 3 pointers that you could give as an experienced ghost seeker yourself to people in the audience of the X-Zone Nation who may be considering becoming a ghost seeker themselves?
Oh, I would say treat the spirits with respect.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming into their home, and don't treat their home the way you would not want yourself to be treated in your own home. I would say keep an open mind and have fun with it. Remember that these are people just like you were once, and they have some of the same hopes and dreams and aspirations. It's just that their time is past and our time is now. But there's no reason we can't communicate. Or at least try to communicate.
Have you ever been on a ghost seeking venture where someone in the group that you have been with has actually seen a spirit or a ghost manifest itself?
Not while I was there. I've just heard about it.
And how about teleportation? Have you been in a place where something has gone flying around across the room?
Oh, I just missed something like that the last time I was at the Pollock Hospital. There was a group down in the women's ward where the energy usually tends to be very subtle, but for the last couple of months, it's just been off the charts. And the tour guide came screaming down the hallway and had left her group, which is a big no-no. And they were doing an EVP session. They were doing recording, and some guy said, "Will you give us some sign of your presence?" And a utensil that was set up for the kitchen scene in the women's room, the women's ward, a utensil came flying off of the metallic strip and landed right in the middle of the room. And the guide said, "I was the first one out of there." So yeah, unfortunately, I missed that. I was at the front of the building talking with people when that happened. I was ever so distressed that I missed that.
Timing is everything, isn't it?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Well, Sylvia, we want to thank you so much for joining us. And X-Zone Nation, Sylvia Shults has been our guest. She's the author of Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital, and her website is www.sylviashults.com. That's SYLVIASHULTS.com. I'll be back on the other side of the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X-Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, with yours truly, Rob McConnell, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, and every 4 hours after that, around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Don't go away. We'll be back after the news.